Hello there and welcome to Porky Wren for this evening's Cork Rebel Oak Premier 1 Minor Football Championship final between Douglas and Glanmire. If we have half as much excitement as the hurling equivalent a fortnight ago, then we are in for some spectacle. Indeed, many of the Glanmire players featured for SARS 2 weeks ago in their loss to the Bars and will be desperate not to leave Porky Wren empty-handed once more. However, they face an onerous task against the champions, and it's a Douglas side who are backboned by 4 Cork minors from last year. Tony Lean and Eamon Murphy are alongside me here in the commentary box, and we will get their thoughts in a few moments' time. But first off, let's go to the two camps. A little earlier in the week, Tony caught up with Glanmire boss and former Kerry star Tomás O'Shea. But first off, let's hear his chat with Douglas manager, that's Eddie Murphy.
Okay, Eddie Murphy is the manager, of course, of the Douglas minor footballers. Eddie, of course, the Douglas minor footballers are the reigning county champions. Now, I know in minor that doesn't mean as much, but you still have some exceptional talent. And am I right in saying 4 players who won an All-Ireland minor with Cork last year?
That's right, Tony. We have 4 lads and the starting 15, obviously. And last year, I suppose, great win last year, but I suppose every year is different. And we have different type of players going in and playing. And obviously the transition from 16 to 17 and 18 can be quite different in a given year. But we're looking forward to it. The lads are certainly going to be up for it, I'm sure, like the rest of our lads. And, it's a case of just giving it a go and hopefully we come out on the right side.
And the interesting thing, of course, about this final is you have lost 1 game this year, and that was to tonight's opponents, Glanmire. Tell us a little bit about that night, how Douglas were beaten on that occasion.
Yes, that's right, Tony. In fairness now, it was a good, honest, tough match. Conditions weren't great. But I suppose it's just that whoever wanted it most on the night got it, really. I suppose our lads were just coming in fairly cold, like Glanmire would be. And obviously with the current situation, we didn't have time really to work with the team. And I'm sure it would be the same with the lads in Glanmire. So, look, it was a case that, yes, we were surprised. We thought that we might come out on top. Very close right to the end, and really the game was in doubt right to the end, which I'm sure is going to be the case again for the match on Wednesday night.
No, I saw your game against Ballincollig, and Ballincollig were the fancied team for many. They had already beaten Glanmire. They came to Douglas. Your backs were up against the wall. I have to say, one of the best performances I've seen from an underage team this year. Was that basically the pinnacle of the season so far for you in terms of your performance? You beat Ballincollig, I think, by something like 19 points.
Yes, Tony. I suppose on the night, it's a situation where everything clicked. And I suppose from number 1 right down to whoever came in, everyone played well and played to their full potential. You mentioned about being a great underage performance. I'm involved in coaching a long time, and it certainly is one of the highlights. We rated Ballincollig. Very good, solid team, and it was an absolutely magnificent match. But I think there was a quarter in the game where we really took over. Scores came fairly naturally to all our players, and it was a fantastic performance on the night. Absolutely, 100%. And like you said, you were there yourself, and the football was excellent. Whether we can repeat that, that's something that we would look for, but we certainly will aim for that.
One of the intriguing things, Eddie, for people obviously on the outside looking in, is the amount of underage talent that's in Douglas GA Club, and that goes for football and hurling. No, it hasn't transferred up the grades to senior yet, but I noticed even again last weekend the under-14 team in Douglas won a Premier County title. You'd be thinking, Eddie, that, and as I said, you've been at the heart of it for many, many years coaching in the club, you'd be thinking that eventually that talent will filter through.
Yeah, I suppose, it's a statement that's made every year. We have great players on paper, but when it gets to the senior level, it's very difficult. And it's hard to put our finger on it, really. Like Douglas is such a big club, and we have huge talent. And I'm like in all the other clubs, we all work very hard. And the aim always to have our underage players in hurling football playing at senior level within our club. Yes, they're playing, and obviously we're doing well. But I suppose it's hard to put a finger on it why we're not succeeding at senior level. Hopefully someone might come up with some sort of a menu or a magic formula that might get it right at senior level. But in the meantime, we'll keep on working, we'll work hard. There's great work going on in underage in Douglas. Like you said, it was a great victory last Saturday for the under-14s, and there's great football going on, there's great work going on, and the same in the hurling. Like I said, every club are doing the same. we mind our own spot, we mind our own corner, but hopefully someday that we will get something to recognise at the top table, whether it be senior hurling or senior football, and I certainly would look forward to that day.
And finally, to win a second minor title tonight back to back, okay, Douglas has had a lot of underage success, but there is a nice bit of significance in that, isn't it, to win back to back Premier minor titles? It's a good platform.
Absolutely, it's a great platform to be in, Tony, but you know, every year is different and we have a job. Last year probably came into the lads' minds there early in the year, but you know, we had to nullify that simply because every year is different, every game is different, and you know, whether it's back-to-back titles or not, where I'm not thinking beyond the fact that we're playing a match on Wednesday night, and it would be great to come out on top, and if Glanmire get the spoils, fair play to them. If we get the spoils, we'll certainly take it. But back to back, it's probably at the back of our minds, really, Tony. But certainly it would be a great achievement. There's no doubt about that.
So, Tomás O'Shea, preparing for your first final as a manager of a football team, getting Glanmire all the way to the Premier Minor Football Final, which is some achievement. How much have you actually enjoyed your first foray into management?
I enjoyed it, Tony. It was, I suppose, I wasn't expecting it. I got involved with Glanmire, and I suppose the one thing and the biggest thing I suppose that I found difficult in that a West Kerry man doesn't understand a dual club, and I've struggled with that. The fact that you have 18 or 19 of the lads that won't be with you for maybe a full week, and if you find it hard to work on things in areas like that, but I suppose that's an issue that's all over Cork, and they've used to it for years and years now. Douglas are in the same boat. All the big clubs are in the same boat, but I struggle with that. But it's something we've got on with, and I think the lads have done very well. They're doing it themselves years, and it's credit to them because they got to the final with SARS already this year, and now to make the football equivalent as well is a fair achievement for them. And as I said, there's a lot of them. There's over 10 of them playing both, so starters, and it's a fierce achievement for them.
I've seen Douglas, Tomás, in two of their games. I have to say they were particularly impressive the night they beat Ballincollig. But you're the only side who's actually beaten them so far this year. So what relevance does that have for tonight, and what confidence will that give the group going into the game?
Yeah, the relevance, Tony, I think, look, it has been a strange year. We started off the year in January and February and we were training away, and then the COVID came in and we weren't sure what was going to happen. And next thing we were told we were allowed to go back training, and it came on us quickly and we weren't that prepared either. We got them on a wet night over in Glanmire and we got a late goal to win it. But we all know how good Douglas are. Ballincollig beat us and Douglas wiped the floor with Ballincollig. So we're under no illusions that it's an uphill battle. The pitch inside will suit Douglas, there's no doubt about that. But I just want our lads to get the most out of themselves. I don't think we have clicked fully yet this year, but I would still be hopeful that they'll show up and show a bit of spirit. And I think Douglas are cute enough. They'll have the respect for Glanmire. They won't come in thinking that they'll whitewash us, but they have that ability. There's no doubt about it that they have 6 or 7 players that are seriously good minors and seriously good footballers, and it's up to us then to cope with them.
This obviously will be going out in the couple of minutes now before tonight's final, so give the viewers a little insight into maybe the 2 or 3 guys that we should keep an eye out on. I mean, I know like one of the guys, Daniel Hogan, has been performing really, really well with the SARS senior hurlers. Is he a football talent too?
He is. He's a good head in him. He's got a confidence, I suppose. I've Cathal McCarthy, who's a good footballer as well and also a very good hurler. We have a sprinkling of talent. We've lost a few fellas as well. Jake Bowen, our full back, we lost. Rory McCarthy, Rory O'Brien, a very good hurler as well. We lost him against Nemo. But we have a couple of very good players. Dara Murray is a good player. James Crowley is a good player. Dave Lynch and Jeremy Kingston at midfield are solid players and have been very good for us throughout. But Tony, I'm delighted with. You'll see it tonight. Whatever else they are, they're honest, and that's all I've asked from them. And whatever they can give, they will give. If it's not good enough, it's not good enough. But you'd hate to come away from a final not giving your all, and I'd hope that they'll do that on Wednesday night.
Now I know, Tomás, when you went into this and when Glanmire approached you, you said to yourself, I want to see what this is like. I want to see what it's like to be the numero uno on the sideline. So with this season nearly done, would you rate it as enjoyable?
I would. I find it enjoyable. I find it enjoyable what you can do in between games and the improvements you can actually do. That's what I would have loved to have got my teeth into, but with the hurling and with the dual side of it, it was difficult. But again, like I said, it's the same for both. It's not a complaint, it's just the way things are. But I did enjoy it, Tony. Yeah, it's something like it was the first team that I was kind of calling the shots on, and I got a buzz out of it. And I suppose it could have gone either way. In terms of after the league, we got through by score difference or whatever it was. But I'm delighted because they had a huge win in the semi-final and it was brilliant. So for Glanmire to be there is great. But we don't want to be making up the numbers either. We'd like to give a good showing as well tonight.
And welcome back to Porky Wren for tonight's Cork Premier 1 Minor Football Championship Final. Our thanks to Tomas and to Eddie for their time in the course of the week. Well, teams are out on the field completing their training routines. Let's bring up the Douglas team on screen now. We'll have a quick run through that. It's Cian O'Leary in goals. He's also captain of the side. Full back line is Scott Gainey, Casey Buckley, Killian Donlan. Half back line, David Kelly, Dara Burke and Kieran Kenny. Midfield, it's Owen Nash and Mark Howell. Half forward line, Michael Nason, Alan O'Hare and Shane Ahern. And the full forward line is Conor O'Donovan, Fionn Sheehan and Aaron Sheehy. Tony Lean is alongside me. An experienced core on this Douglas team, the champions of course. Great to have 4 Cork minors in your starting team. But we were chatting about this during the week, of course, the new look to the system, the minor grade, under 17 at county level, but still a huge boost for Douglas.
Yeah, you don't often, Colm, get a follow-through, obviously, in minors. You're lucky if you have a county championship winning minor team, you know, invariably it means that they're on the age and you don't have too many of them follow through. But with the inter-county being under 17, like Cian O'Leary, the keeper, Owen Nash, the midfielder, Shane Ahern, Alan O'Hare, all tasted All-Ireland success in Croke Park last year, and if you remember, in very dramatic circumstances on September the 1st, the day of the first Kerry-Dublin draw. So, I mean, you know, a year on, that's a huge, obviously, advantage. That's a huge reservoir of experience, of big games.
I was just about to say, football aside, just the experience of a big game like this.
And remembering that all these players actually won the equivalent final here last year. So it was a surprise, I think, going into this season, and Eamon would follow the minor grade closer than I was, but I think Douglas would have been the talking horse at the start of the campaign, you know, and so for them to lose to Glanmire in the first game, I think probably was a bit of a surprise, and they had to, you know, I suppose, gather themselves again afterwards. They were in an incredibly tough group. Just to put people in the picture, the draw for the minor championship, and I'm not being disparaging to teams in the other group, was quite lopsided this year, because you had Ballincollig and Nemo Rangers and Glanmire and Douglas in the same group, and it looked going into the last games that Ballincollig were a certainty to go through. As it transpired, Douglas turned in the best performance they've put in this season to knock Ballincollig out and get themselves through to a semi-final.
Okay, let's bring up the Glanmire team there now on screen. I'll give a quick read through that. It's Oren Shepherd in goals. Full back line, Eric Geary, James Gibson, Jack O'Sullivan. Half back line is Dara Long, Olin Kelleher and Dara Murray. David Lynch and Jeremy Kingston are midfield pairing. Ben Nodwell, Daniel Hogan and James Crowley. And the full forward line, Cathal McCarthy, Luke Elliott and Ollie Compton. Eamon Murphy of the Echo will bring you in here. If Tony was saying that Douglas were the talking horse at the start of the year, what were Glanmire?
Well, I suppose they'd similarly in a similar situation to Douglas. They had won the Premier 2 grade last year. I know it wasn't Premier 1, and they were bringing back a number of players, a number of key players. Cathal McCarthy, their corner forward, who is a fine hurler as well. He got 1-6 from playing last year's final against Mallow. So you're bringing a guy like that, he's on the age now, so you're carrying him through. Daniel Hogan, who again, through the hurling, a lot of people would be familiar with because he was playing senior hurling for SARS this year. He's got 4 goals in the championship so far. I mean, probably a more natural hurler, admittedly, but a big, strong guy, good athlete. So look, they were carrying a good team in, and I suppose they have Tomas O'Shea on board as manager. They wouldn't have got Tomas O'Shea in unless they had a group that they thought could contend for silverware or could be at this stage at the end of the season, which is where they are. Now, they have had some injuries. Luke Cotter, their first choice goalie, broke his wrist, and Oren Shepherd, who was an outfield player, a sub-forward, ended up stepping in between the posts and doing a good job for the last few weeks. And they've also lost Jake Bone, their full-back, with a shoulder injury, and Rory O'Brien, who did come on for SARS in the county final defeat to the Bars with a shoulder injury as well. So they're big losses to them, and I suppose Douglas are favourites to start with, so that could be a factor going in here now.
As you can pick up on the screen there is a slight bit of a breeze here in Páirc Uí Rinn this evening. What a wonderful night it is for Gaelic football, and this the pinnacle of the Rebel Oak Cork Minor Football Championship. Our referee this evening is Brian Canary from Crosshaven. Interesting little fact here, Tony, that when the sides met in the championship last, when Glanmire won, Brian Canary sent a certain Tomás O'Shea out of the ground.
I'm well aware of it. I had a text conversation later that night with said Tomás, and let's just say he wasn't entirely happy with how he'd been treated by officialdom on that particular night. But you know what? It was a good lesson for him first. I mean, you got to remember, he's a fiery character. This is the first time he has been the numero uno. He's been the banished door. Usually when he's been involved in UCC, he's had Billy Morgan, who obviously wouldn't ever
be even more fiery.
I was just about to say, wouldn't be noted for his calm either. But Tomás, I think he's really enjoyed this. And, you know, you can pay too much attention to the fact that he's in charge or no attention, but it can't be a complete coincidence, you know, that they've gone all the way.
And it's great for Cork football that someone like Tomás O'Shea is involved with a club team. I mean, you know, look, he played with Nemo or whatever, and maybe he'll be involved with them. His own son plays with Nemo, you know, down the line. But it's great for Cork football. We need guys like that involved.
Yeah.
I'm just looking out on the field, Tony. You mentioned before that it'll be easy to pick out Owen Nash. You weren't lying. How big is he?
Well, if you keep an eye on number 8 for Douglas's Owen Nash, I'm led to believe, or certainly his mother says, he's 6'5", and he barely pips Shane Ahern, who's wing forward and often plays as a third midfielder for Douglas, who's 6'4". So, and by the way, Owen Nash is 6'5" and is well capable of making use of his 6'5". He's a very good man in the air. Mark Howell, by the way, very, very accomplished hurler. Is Ross Howell's younger brother, his midfield partner. So it's an area where Douglas will look to capitalise on.
And actually Mark is currently on the Cork Minor hurling panel as well, and his midfield partner Owen, part of the Cork Minor winning football squad last year. So we're off and running. First free of the evening just been awarded, and it is Nash who's taking it quickly, getting it in towards Fionn Sheehan. Great play by the full back though, James Gibson, to get away and get a freer. And there was Olin Kelleher back there as well, who's been redeployed back onto the edge of the square, the centre back, who's taking charge of Fionn Sheehan. And an early let off there as Daniel Hogan, renowned for his hurling talents, James Crowley. First time ball in towards his corner forward towards Ollie Compton. As a runner down through the centre, that's Hogan again. Hogan onto the left. He's still Daniel Hogan on the 14. Hogan being held up, getting the shot away, and it's just trickled wide. Just getting a touch. It's gone out for a 45, but the Douglas defence there just stood back in awe.
Actually, Cullum and Eamon will remember this. Reminded me very much of the equivalent minor final last year when Douglas were all over the shop for the first 3 or 4 minutes. Ballincollig got a goal, I'd say, from their first attack, and Glanmire very nearly did the same.
Yeah, quickly taken 45 out towards Ben Nodwell, another famed hurler on this Glanmire team this evening. That's Nodwell giving Kieran Kenny a bit of a chase there. And gone through the hands, falls back, but they've managed to recycle possession and getting it back to the corner forward there. That's Colin McCarthy. Lovely stuff. Number 13, the opening score of the night to Glanmire. Nice intricate play there.
Yeah, and I think you'll see from Douglas's first attack, ball went into the full forward line, didn't win their ball, didn't win their individual duel, gone up the field. Glanmire now 3 possessions and they've won 3 individual duels so far.
Good kick out as you'd expect from Cian O'Leary, but it's not to a Douglas man, it's to the centre back down there. Hogan back helping out using his full back Gibson, and that's James Gibson now on the ball, offloading it, working back towards Jeremy Kingston, David Lynch's midfield partner, and they're gone all the way back to Eric Geary, the cornerback. James Crowley's in there, and it's still Crowley. Wants to go right out, referee awarding allowing play on. High ball being dropped in towards the edge of the square. Up under it is Luke Elliott. Out his corner forward to Ollie Compton. going back to the full forward. And that's Elliott. And Elliott's shot clips off the post and goes wide. But serious intent in the opening few minutes there, Eamon.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Luke Elliott is actually the fullback for their hurling team, but he's a huge young fella. You know, we're talking about height earlier, and he's a great target man to have in there. He was actually desperately lucky. He looked like he, you know, picked the target well, but it just hit the post and went wide. But Glanmire are very confident to start with. You know, I mean, they're certainly not worried about being underdogs.
This match being brought to you on the Irish Examiner website with thanks to Rebel Oak. We had a fantastic night here, as I said, in the hurling, and if we can get half the same here tonight. Luke Elliott again showing well. That's Casey Buckley trying to marshal him out there. Opts to go short as far as Daniel Hogan. Hogan back in, bringing his corner forward into play. Gone out there with James Crowley. All the way to Ollie Compton. Now it's Crowley again. Compton. Incisive ball in there. And the shot coming off from distance from about 25 yards. Yes, they like it. The Glanmire crowd saluting that score. And it's pushed them ahead. Cathal McCarthy, I think, again.
He was one of the players, in fairness, and Eamon mentioned him earlier, that Glanmire will look to. I mean, he's a serious inside proper forward for Glanmire, and this is exactly the start now that Tomas and Glanmire would have been looking for, because any inhibitions they might have had, you know, about playing Dave Douglas who the favourites, they're gone already, and we're only 5 minutes in.
Okay, Kieran Kenny there claiming the mark from his goalkeeper's kick out, and setting off at pace there is Shane Ahern. This man, of course, has some pedigree. He scored 1-2 against Enniscarra last week. Alan O'Hare there jinking this way and that, and off the left, dropping around the edge of the square. Hand on it. Oh, goalkeeper did very well there. Big hand going up there, but it's only back as far as Douglas and back into the square again, and it's flicked in and flicked over the crossbar.
See, this is going to be the danger, and this is something, in fairness, that will have been well signposted for Glanmire. Conor O'Donovan did wreck the night against Ballincollig, scored 3-2. I mean, it's a great phrase that Eamon uses. That night he was unmarkable. He's the son of Teddy O'Donovan, who's the well-known referee, but he's a serious pair of hands, Colm, and he's going to be a massive threat inside for Douglas.
Yeah, well, he certainly showed it, not once but twice there. The goalkeeper, though, to be fair, Oren Shepherd did ever so well to get down. Admittedly wasn't hugely pacey, but second time going over the bar to get Douglas off the mark, and they're trying to build it up again now here from defence after that bit of a shaky start. Racing out, there is O'Donovan, offloads on this occasion out as far as Michael Nason. First time ball by Nason towards Fionn Sheehan, back to Nason. Bit of pace about this lad as well, opting to go inside. A great interception though by the wing back Dara Long. And to be fair, Glanmire have numbers back there, and everybody seems to know their job as well. And here they come on the attack down that far side. It's the wing back Dara Long again who started the move, continuing it on, trying to bring Daniel Hogan into play. What a hurling star this man is, and he's got some football talent about him as well too. Been held up there, calls for a free, referee waving play on. Ollie Compton brought to ground, referee though again play on. Douglas defender though coming out and is fouled, and it's going to be a free out there for the defender.
I'd say Glanmire feel a bit aggrieved in that there wasn't a whole lot between the two fouls that looked any different, but Douglas have possession in regardless.
Trying to pick out Nason on that far side, holding off Eric Geary and being fouled by Eric Geary, going short David Lynch, or Owen Nash, excuse me. And here comes Douglas again at their wing back David Kelly, going in towards his full forward, shot coming up and going right across, so here is onto it. Great defending though by the wing back Dara Murray, saw the danger.
Again, I have to say, Colm, just like the other end, that looked a foul to me.
Yeah,
I mean, Fionn Sheehan won the ball,
back,
he was turning, he was about to kick, he seemed to be pulled down to the ground. You know, he didn't even probably really get a shot off at the end, like so. You know, Brian Canary letting one or two things go early on. Maybe it's
like the kind of directive for the hurling refs at the moment to let it flow a small bit. Possibly there's something like that going on too. But
interesting, Colm. Like Glanmire certainly have identified Douglas forwards, and they're gone man to man. So James Gibson, even though he's named the three, he's actually out picking up Aaron Sheehy wing forward, and Dara Murray is picking up the Douglas, I suppose, danger man, if you want to call Alan O'Hare that, but certainly he's the guy that they rely on for most of their scores.
Nash taking a bit of a rugby kicker's routine. A couple of steps back into the side. Connection on it though. Doesn't have the finish. And it's well wide. And it leaves us at 2 points to 1 with just over 8 minutes elapsed here at Páirc Uí Rinn in this game here, this Cork Premier 1 Minor Football Championship final.
It's a good start though. It's an entertaining game. Both teams are trying to go direct into their forwards. Trying to isolate two on two inside. So it's been very enjoyable so far.
Powerful kick out by Oran Shepherd. That's the halfway line there, and it's picked up by Ben Nodwell. Surrounded and fouled, and that's going to be a free about 65 yards out. And it's David Lynch who's going to take it quickly in towards his corner forward to Cathal McCarthy, the danger man. Still McCarthy, ball spills away from him, and Douglas have men back there, and that's the wing back David Kelly. Dangerous ball by Kelly, putting huge pressure, and they managed to regroup and regain and out as far as Michael Nason. This man has shown his pace already, being held up, would you believe, by a corner forward, Ollie Compton, and forced to go backwards. But crucially for Douglas, they still have possession. A bit of a miscommunication there.
Yeah,
wrong ball. He'd an overlap on his left from Shane Ahern.
Darragh Murray saw it, read it, and collected it, and gets it into Cathal McCarthy. And this man is on fire so far tonight. McCarthy obviously on this occasion though takes the wrong option, and it's Aaron Sheehy who's all the way back there to help out his defence. That'll give you an indication of where Douglas are at when their corner forwards are having to come out and help with the fire. Out to O'Nash, go short to Nason. He's bringing it back into play here with the wing back here in Kenny. High ball by Kenny on top of O'Hare, who's never going to win that one. And Glanmire coming out here at pace with Darragh Murray. Offloading it to Ben Nodwell, who's drifting farther and farther out in the opening exchanges. Great ball by James Crowley, in again towards Cathal McCarthy. McCarthy trying to be held up by Scott Gainey. That's a great kick, and that's a great score by the corner forward.
That was a super point, particularly because the last two possessions Cathal McCarthy won the last two possessions and he'd been kept out wide, and this time he managed to find the space to get a shot off, and lovely point.
Yeah. 3 attempts, 3 scores from both Cathal McCarthy and Glanmire, so that's a very competent start, you'd say.
Is this the stage now where, that's a wonderful piece of fielding by Big O Nash. Great first time ball in towards his corner forward to Conor O'Donovan. Opting to go back again to the on-running Nash. Being held up, but shakes off a couple. Nason getting the pass off. They're going through the hands here. Who's going to take responsibility? She getting the shot off the post. O'Hare looked to have fouled the man going down for the ball. Yep, fouled the defender Darragh Murray. No real complaint on that one. At what stage, Tony, does the Douglas management take a look at the Cathal McCarthy conundrum?
I think, to be honest with you, they're already looking at it, Colm. I would think. I mean, he's obviously, their danger man. You can see already at this stage he's actually done well. The only thing I would say is Eddie Murphy will look at what's happened with his full back line over the course of the summer, and I'd say he'll leave it for another 10 minutes.
Delightful pass there by Daniel Hogan to pick out James Crowley. Back to Hogan. Being held up, great defensive play there by Casey Buckley to slow him down. That's James Crowley again. Plenty of time on it there, being taken by Darragh Long, the wing back, but intercepted and well played by David Kelly back there. Out as far as Nash to Mark Howell. Going back to David Kelly. Douglas trying to create the space for Fionn Sheehan to run onto. Sheehan did well, despite the fact that he's got Olin Kelleher for company. Stuck him like glue. And the defender did it ever so well there to force the shot from Sheehan and drive it out over the end line.
the crowd reaction said it all there. In fairness, it was great hounding out by the sideline. You know, I mean, when the initial ball came in, it looked like he'd turn and go straight for goal. But
I think Douglas, you asked to answer your question, Colm. I think Douglas have issues at both ends of the field at the moment, because stuff that's going in, the quality of the ball that's going in, the pace at which it's going in at the moment, isn't probably giving their forwards the best possible opportunity.
Okay, this lad, Michael Nason, is showing well. He's after getting on a couple of possessions so far, trying to be a bit of a link man. That's him on the ball there now. Looking for an option, forced to go all the way back towards his centre back, Dara Burke. Oh, nice play by Burke, brought to ground. Bit of a Tomas O'Shea jink there. Ball from Dara, going in towards the corner forward on this occasion, Conor O'Donovan. O'Donovan did well. He's going to take a shot, aiming it in towards Fionn Sheehan. And again, wonderful play by, he's the centre back, now playing full back, Olin Kelleher, to knock it away. But Douglas have managed to regain possession, and they've won a free over on that far side there. And Douglas seriously need a score now, as we're edging closer and closer to the water break. 3 points to 1, Glanmire lead. And it's Alan O'Hare who's going to take this one of the 4 Cork minors from last year on this Douglas side.
certainly not an easy free that far out.
Aaron Shee giving a bit of a run there, offering his services, but still Allen. He's going to back himself. It's dropping off the post again. Sheehan knocked through his hands again by Olin Keller, who's playing a stormer back there. It's Ben Nodwell who's forced to come back and help his defence, and now it's Dara Long on the ball. That's the 45-yard line he's just passing. Been hassled and harassed there by Shane Ahern. Nice little play there by James Crowley. Bringing cornerback Eric Geary into play. And now it's Luke Elliott. That's the full forward, Luke Elliott. First time ball by him to Ben Nodwell. There's only one target inside there, and that's McCarthy yet again. 3 points already this evening. What's he going to add on this attack? He's going to add. No, commentator's curse there. I was going to say he's fourth, but the range off there. And we're in for the water break.
I think Colm, I think the concern, and I'm just looking down at the Douglas management now in terms of how they're handling Cathal McCarthy. I think the main issue that they're going to have at the moment is the fact that even one-on-one aim, and Eric Erie actually isn't able to actually match him. No, it isn't that Cathal McCarthy's actually getting free off a loop or anything like that. Yeah, he's actually in one-on-one. He's kind of just has the beating of Eric. Or sorry, my apologies, of Scott Gainey. I'm looking at the wrong team sheet. My apologies to Eric Geary of Scott Gainey. No, Scott Gainey has done extremely well. So in fairness to Eddie Murphy and the Douglas mentors, they're going to look at it and they're going to give Scott a bit of time.
But to be fair, like, he's isolated as well too, isn't he?
Well, there you have that issue. This is the classic conundrum. You mentioned the fact that Luke Elliott and the Douglas forward line were out around midfield. I mean, look, that isn't rocket science. You've identified something inside. You've identified the fact that Cathal McCarthy is the beating of his man. It's up to Douglas to sort
exactly. Like on that occasion there was like nearly probably 30 yards of empty space.
I make it he's got 7 possessions, you know what I mean? Like for a corner forward of 15 minutes of football, especially in a championship final, to get 7 possessions, a bit of space. So to be fair, I think Scott Gainey's probably done well. Nearly trying to concede 3 points and not concede a goal off him. He hounded him a couple of times there, and one kind of half foul he got away with, but. Look, Douglas just going to clog up the space somewhere, but they probably don't want to go to a sweeper either, because that will free Glanmire with a loose man out
this
the middle,
might seem like a small thing, but Douglas haven't played a game away from Douglas now for quite some time.
Yeah, it's true,
their last 2 or 3 games have all been on their own home pitch, and they just look like a side at the moment that hasn't quite settled in. Whereas Glanmire look like a team who have actually hit the ground running. Douglas just at the moment, those 2 guys inside in the full forward line, obviously Glanmire had prepared for them. The fact that this is such a big pitch, it makes that big bomb in that little bit more difficult, and they're going to
do it from so far out there.
Exactly, and so Douglas are trying to play it in a little bit more, but Glanmire defensively have their measure.
Huge credit to this man at centre back, wearing number 6 but playing at full back.
There on the last possession when Alan O'Hare's free had hit the post, he put his fist right through it. It was absolutely fantastic defending. It was really old school defending. It was great to see.
Okay, well that's it. Water break over nice and quick. 3 points to 1. It's Glanmire who lead Douglas in this Cork Premier 1 Minor Football Championship final on the Irish Examiner website in conjunction with Rebel Oak.
Well, good vote of confidence there, by the way, by Eddie Murphy in Scott Gainey. He's still on Cathal McCarthy. So we'll just see, does he get that extra bit of protection you're talking about?
Route 1 to Owen Nash, and it's route 1 into the full forward line towards Conor O'Donovan, spills over his head, and it's Olin Kelleher yet again who's out there to claim the ball ahead of Fionn Sheehan. Sheehan though turns defender there for a second in an effort to curtail his man, but concedes the free, and you'd wonder, is he going to get a bit frustrated inside there? Great ball out as far as Daniel Hogan. He's got a runner if he wishes, but Hogan holding off 2 Douglas players. Opts to go short and bring in. It's he's wing back there, and the ball inside though not the greatest, and all the time in the world for Casey Buckley to get out to it.
Yeah, Douglas have brought Alan O'Hare out to the half forward line now. He's playing in kind of the number 12 position as opposed to the number 15 position, so they'll be hoping to get him on a bit more ball because he was just isolated really inside up to now.
Owen Nash looking for it there, and Owen Nash receiving, being told to go route 1 with it, but holding it up, and instead jinx it as far as Shane Ahern. Ahern going, bringing Nason into it, who in turn brings it back to the wing back, David Kelly. Loses possession, and all credit to James Crowley for putting him under huge pressure, and Douglas working ever so hard to regain possession. With the midfielder through the hands there, he's lost it, and Glanmire tenaciously, Jeremy Kingston in there digging it out and getting his side in possession again, and that's with their wing back Dara Long. Impressive play by him. Great ball in towards his full forward to the big man Luke Elliott. Kind of a David Clifford kind of build about him there, big long gait. He's gone across as far as centre forward Hogan, gone into the corner yet again. Oh, nice little interplay there as that's David Lynch, the captain. Lynch onto the left, Lynch with the shot, and Lynch has driven that one wide. But a lot of huffing and puffing.
Yeah, they've played so well for 20 minutes, you know, they've really defied the tag of underdogs, but they're only 3-1 up.
Interplay deserves something, but driven it wide. That's 2 wides back to back, one just before the water break from Conor McCarthy, and now that one there. Looked to be a bit of a push in the back. Referee said no, and Daniel Hogan, the recipient, getting the ball, bringing Eric Geary into it, and out now with David Lynch, the captain. Great play by the corner back though on that occasion. Scott Gainey getting there, but it's well done by Glanmire yet again to recycle it with James Crowley going back. Right across the field, great ball to pick out Dara Murray on the edge of the exclusion zone. Murray being harassed there. Oh, wonderful play there by the Douglas man, Alan O'Hare. Still O'Hare did very well to pick it up. Look at the turn of pace that this centre forward has, and brought to ground. Dara Murray pulling him back, bringing him into the ground, and the referee calling the defender over.
I think there's a conversation to be had in that one. I think he just took him out of it there.
Yeah,
good play, good tracking the way Alan O'Hare there, in fairness to
it was, and I suppose it was kind of gutsy play out of Darren Murray, because I mean, you're marking, you know, who's been the top scorer from play for Douglas all the way through his championship, and you're kind of saying, I'm going to put him on the back foot and I'm going to go all the way up the field, and if he had secured possession, it would have been a great play.
The cross-field ball was perfect for him if he'd actually handled it. Yeah,
he just didn't manage to flick it up, and the refs brought it forward there for kicking the ball away. So you know, it's possibly scoreable here.
No, it is. I mean, this is
so
within Nash's compass. If he can connect with it.
We saw him miss a 45 just before half time. It's dropped in, and yet again Glanmire back in numbers. It's with Aaron Sheehy, and Sheehy clinks it and gets it right over the red spot.
So, you know,
mightn't have been the prettiest in the end, but it got there.
He's very quick feet, Aaron Sheehy, and very importantly, Colm, he's 2-footed. So he is as comfortable actually working off his left side and his right side. He's a very good player. Probably hasn't been racking up the scores this championship as he might have last year. But if he gets that little bit of confidence back, he can be a big player for Douglas.
Yeah, pushing in the back there, it was Kieran Kenny, the other wing back wearing number 7, was the man deemed guilty. Oh, that's a wonderful pass and a wonderful piece of fielding by Daniel Hogan. Did ever so well there, and wins the free. Opts to go back and bring Eric Geary, the corner back, into it. Very impressive the way the Glanmire defence is coming up to help their attack. David Lynch, the captain. Still Lynch opting to back himself, going to drop short. Oh, hand on it! Hand on it there from big Luke Elliott to flick it over.
Yeah, and Luke Elliott had his hand up there, Colm, for about 15 seconds, trying to bring attention to the fact that he has a massive height advantage over his direct man. Now, I think he might have actually been going for a score.
Yeah.
But Luke was obviously going to win that, and the flick on puts them 4-2 in front.
23 minutes elapsed here in Páirc Uí Rinn this evening. Hopefully you're enjoying our match coverage this evening around Cork, around Ireland, around the world. Big hello to the expats of these clubs as well too that are watching on. If you're of a Douglas persuasion, I don't think you'll be too happy with Dara Burke's effort there, going out over the sideline.
Glanmire's work rate is incredible, though. You know, they're hounding Douglas, and every line of the field, every possession is under pressure.
Absolutely phenomenal play. Great movement as well too, on and off the ball. On this occasion, Douglas coming out there with the cornerback Scott Gainey. Mark Howell being brought into it, and Owen Nash now getting the kick there towards Nason on that far side. He's been tracked back by Eric Geary. Nason forced to go backwards, and it's back with Owen Nash. Everything seems to go through this man's hands. Going in there towards his full forward. Great tussle again inside there. Great play again by Olin Keller to get out ahead of Fionn Sheehan. And great play as well too to pick out Ben Nodwell. They're holding it up there. James Crowley now. Back to Nodwell. He's gone right across the field here. And look at the movement off the ball here. Great hands there. Bringing in the wing back Dara Murray. Murray first time in towards Cathal McCarthy. He's been quiet since the water break. Ball simply not coming in his direction. Scott Gainey trying to hold him up there in the corner. Scott Gainey on this occasion fouling him. I think that's the first time he's conceded a free, and it's going to give Glanmire a chance to extend their lead out to 3 points.
He was possibly a bit unlucky there, in fairness to
Scott Gainey.
Scott Gainey. Yeah, he wasn't a whole lot different than any of the other plays up to now. But look, it's an important free for Glanmire again, you know, to kind of just keep driving home that advantage. It's, you know, it's been an exciting game, but it's not been a high scoring game, so this will put them 3 points ahead, you know, probably a reflection of how well they've played.
James Crowley coming out to take the free. Bit of running repairs there, by the way, just out of shot for Michael Nason, and that's why we're holding up. And referee Brian Canary's whistle there giving the go ahead to James Crowley, Cork Minor panellist, just in from the sideline there, about 21 yards light. Nice connection by him. That's a good looking kick. That's a great looking kick, and that's pushed it out to 5 points to 2 here in Páirc Uí Rinn. We're just on 26 minutes elapsed.
That wasn't a handy free for your first free anyway, your first scoreable free. Very, very difficult tight angle, and he popped it over beautifully. I suppose for Glanmire on all these possessions now, it's trying to keep the ball away from Owen Nash, because even though Glanmire have struggled, I think he's been very impressive. He's shown that he was a Cork Minor last year, and he's a Cork Minor again this year. He's only 17.
Great play there by Crowley to punch clear as the ball was dropping in on top of a Douglas midfielder, with a push in the back by Ollie Compton, giving Douglas a reprieve and giving Douglas a free. It's just a mark of the pressure that Glanmire are imposing on this game, that Douglas time and again, when they have possessions like that, are often forced to go back before they can go forward. Great first time ball again there towards Nason, with Owen Nash the provider. Owen Nash taking the receipt of it, and now they're coming again with young Alan O'Hare. And that's actually O'Hare gone through him there, and they race out again, and it's Olin Keller yet again winning possession, offloading it there out to Ben Nodwell, and being fouled in possession. And this lad Kelleher has been a rock for Glanmire in the opening 25 minutes here tonight. Poor ball though from the free, gifting it away, and as far as Mark Howell, rides through 2 tackles, still Howell. Jersey pulling Howell, dropping in low, coming out to O'Hare, trying to get the shot away. Yes! Gets it into the back of the net. That was tenacious play by the centre forward.
Well finished.
Well,
a costly mistake though for
the turnover was unfortunate for Glanmire, but if you ever needed an example of the value of a forward with a natural scoring instinct, that was literally out of nothing. Now, Conor O'Donovan, in fairness, did well to actually break the ball down, but in fairness to Alan, he's light and he's tidy, and he's a very clever forward. That's a good finish. Douglas are level, Cullum, and you'd have to say they're undeserving of it.
Yeah,
James
and Mark
Crowley
Cole had actually been very quiet up to now as well. He kind of won that turnover and drove in with the ball. So
see now psychologically how this is going to impact on the game with the corner forward Conor O'Donovan back down there, or should I say Colin McCarthy, excuse me, with Jeremy Kingston. Powerful run by Kingston. Referee had signalled an advantage on accruing, and it's going to be a free in dead straight in front of the post there.
And a good response to conceding the goal, just making sure they won the kick out. Luke Elliott got a flick and they picked up the break and they, worked a scoring chance for themselves. And again, I suppose the ball went through Colin McCarthy in the corner,
And on this occasion, it's not going to be James Crowley who's going to take the free. It's going to be the midfielder and the captain, David Lynch, who's going to step up to this one dead straight in front of the post, right in the middle of the exclusion zone. Sides locked on 1-2 to 5 apiece. And he's going to try and put this over and put Glanmire back in the lead. They've never trailed so far tonight, and now they're back ahead 6 points to 1 goal and 2. But just back to the goal, as you said, Tony, that kind of natural forward poacher instinct. Even when he got on the ball, he was held up, and you just knew.
Well, what he can do is, to use the old cliche, he's the kind of lad who can operate in a telephone box. He doesn't need a lot of space to get his shot off. You see some forwards, they're winding up for about 10 seconds, looping around. Alan O'Hare doesn't need that. Very short backlifts usually, good finish, and he's good in tight spaces, and he had to be there. But as Eamon said, good response, so let's see what Douglas come with.
Dara Burke's ball finding Fionn Sheehan on this occasion, one of the first times he's escaped his man. Sheehan trying to take the return there, but yet again Kelleher getting back and intercepting the pass that came in from Nason. The pass on that occasion overcooked. I think it was James Crowley that overhit it. End result anyway is a sideline to Douglas on that far side, gone in as far as the corner forward. It's out with Nason again. Nice little offload there. Going back right across in front of us to the goal score. It's O'Hare again off his left hand side. And that is
it's a sensational point.
It's an incredible score from 35-40 yards out.
I mean, he had a runner, he could have popped it and he completely backed himself.
And that is his stronger foot. Am I right in saying that was the goal score with his right foot, I think, was it?
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, he looked to be
left
sliding
foot is his
that
natural
way.
foot. But again, you mentioned, that Aaron Sheehy uses both feet, so does Alan. And it does stand out because you get a lot of athletic Cork forwards in football who don't have that natural two-footed ability, and it really holds them up, especially up to minor with Cork and things.
Me on that.
Wonderful play there by Kieran Kinney to grab the ball there with one hand, but the free that he won was a poor delivery, and back come Glanmire. That's James Crowley in the ball, opting to bring in his midfielder David Lynch, who's forced to readjust it very well and gets it back as far as Crowley, who's been held up and fouled. Bit of a poor pass by Crowley though on that occasion for his midfielder. Here they come again with Jeremy Kingston's kick in. Hogan is underneath it, bypasses them all and comes as far as Cathal McCarthy. He doesn't need a second bite of the cherry. Cathal McCarthy, that's his fourth of the night by my reckoning.
It's the confidence he kicked it with too, He could have taken it on and maybe brought it a bit closer. He just backed himself and banged straight between the posts.
And it just underlines once again the pressure that Glanmire are putting Douglas under all over the field. 2 Douglas players going for the same ball. You don't do that if you're in control. You look at the opposite end of the field, and the likes of how the Glanmire full back line are doing.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Looked to be touched on the ground by Kieran Kinney with referee waving play on. It's Aaron Sheehy on the ball. Scored that point a few moments ago, taking a return there from the 45. Nice little ball in there, but well taken. Oh no, it's off Kelleher. I was giving him the credit, bringing in James Gibson. And that's Gibson coming out at pace there. Bit too much pace on the pass. It's gone past Dara Burke at the other end. Nice little soccer skill by Burke to avoid Luke Elliott. And bringing out his midfielder in there eventually. It's Owen Nash on it again. to Mark Howell. Back to Nash. Going first time in there to Aaron Sheehy. He's got a runner inside him, but he's going to go for distance. It's dropping around the edge of the square. Up they go under it, and it's in the back of the net. Looked to be Conor O'Donovan who got the touch on it. There's cries for square ball. The umpires look to be waiting on the referee to come in and join them for a conversation. But Conor O'Donovan got the touch on it. I'm not sure if Aaron Sheehy was going. I'm not sure if Aaron Sheehy was going for a score.
If you look at that column with the naked eye, he has given a square ball. Yeah, I thought, I must admit, when I saw Aaron Sheehy's ball going in, I thought he was very close to the keeper.
On the replay, it's confirmed it was a square ball. So a let off there for.
But again, it does show how dangerous Conor is inside. Like if that was a super ball by Aaron. If the right type of ball is going into Conor O'Donovan, he is going to cause damage.
And he's got very little ball actually. I mean, there's been a lot of ball into Fionn Sheehan and Olin Keller, and Olin's been outstanding, but there hasn't been a whole lot of ball. And I mean, definitely if you're Douglas, you're looking to try and get him on the ball more in the second half.
Oh, Nash hasn't had great luck from frees tonight. I think he's had 2. Let's see how he's going to fare on this occasion. Plenty of prep work anyway before he actually takes the kick, and that is just a few inches inside the 45-yard line. Here comes big Nash. Will it be third time lucky for him? The applause there from the Douglas contingent to our left hand side in the affirmative, and that makes it 1-4 to 7 points, all square, all to play for, and half time here in Páirc Uí Rinn in this Cork Premier 1 Minor Football Championship final. Well, gents,
I'd say Douglas will be considering themselves very fortunate to be level, and let's face it, if you are the Glanmire management, you're probably quite frustrated at half time, because you've played the better football, you've caused their full back line all sorts of problems. Your own full back line has pretty much nullified the equivalent Douglas forwards, and yet you're looking up at the scoreboard and it's 1-4 to 7 points. And realistically, you know, Alan O'Hare hasn't done a lot in general play, but he's had a disproportionate influence on that first half with 1-1. Yeah. He's kept Douglas in the game, hasn't done a whole lot, but he's actually kept them in the game, and now they're level.
Yeah, they're level. Question is, are Glanmire making the best use out of their corner forward down there, or is it credit to the Douglas attack and that post water break?
Well, I suppose like there's been more direct ball pumped in on top of the Glanmire full back line. You know, it's a slightly more direct approach. Like the lads are Glanmire are looking to hit Cathal McCarthy kind of, you know, out in the corners, using that space that they've allowed by kind of effectively playing 2 men inside the 45. It's worked very well for them, but you know, by its nature, you're then kicking from farther out, you're kicking at angles, you know, and that's where the goal came from, didn't it? You know, the ball came in around the square. For nearly every ball that's gone in there, Olin Kelleher has mopped up. You know, on this occasion, obviously it broke beyond him, and you know, then you had a goal from it. So that's just a difference in styles of play. You know, like I suppose Douglas have more formidable forwards overall, and they're playing slightly more directly. But I mean, it's what adjustments they can make now. I mean, I think Tony hit the nail on the head. I know Harris had about 3 or 4 possessions, and he's got 1-1. You know, so if they can get him in the game more, like, and that's not, you know, no disrespect to Colin McCarthy, but he's got an awful lot of ball for his 4 points. He might find that he struggles to get on the ball in the next half. It often happens.
Well, I do think that the break will probably serve Douglas better than it will Glanmire. It'll give Eddie Murphy and his selectors a chance to talk to Scott Gainey, to talk to the half-back line, you know, to talk to the other 2 inside defenders. Like, I think, look, we've all, or certainly I have anyway, been a forward in the past who is getting skinned alive by a defender in a first half, and you know what, it can be a very lonely place. And I'm looking out there at young Fionn Sheehan Cullum, and you've mentioned Olin Kelleher how many times in that commentary. You know, you always say to a young forward, you only have to be right once.
Yep.
You know, one ball can make a difference, and so it's a very interesting and it's a very delicate dynamic. I mean, we're talking at one end about the battle between Scott Gainey and Cathal McCarthy, that the forward is winning. You're talking about at the other end, Olin Kelleher versus Fionn Sheehan, that the back is very much winning. Small things can change though, like that, you know. So I think overall Glanmire will be a little bit frustrated, but Tomás O'Shea will be saying, just play as you did in the first half. Yeah. Just play as you did in the first half. You did extremely, extremely well. I think Douglas have been knocked out of their stride, and I think when they look back at this game, whatever the result, they'll be thankful for the fact that a little bit of magic in a tight space by Alan O'Hare kept them in it at half time. They should realistically, if you're working on the balance of play, I would have thought Glanmire should have been about 3 ahead.
Okay,
Yeah,
you
that would've been
you
all right,
mentioned there too, Eamon, in the course of the commentary, the incredible work rate that Glanmire have brought to tonight.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, I suppose. And look, I mean, we're probably harping on about Tomas O'Shea maybe a bit too much. Look, he's just one man involved, but he's such a cult figure, and he's so well known. But it's that bit of attitude. They're snarling into tackles. Every ball is being chased down. I think Daniel Hogan has probably epitomised it really. I mean, he's kind of a stylish Cork minor hurler last year. He's kind of well known, obviously around the place because he's playing with Stars in the senior this year. So he's teenage famous, as you'd say in Cork GA circles or whatever, but he's been terrific. He's just absolutely dogged his man. Dara Burke, has really struggled to get on the ball, the centre back, and he's a lovely, tidy player, another very good hurler who plays with Christians, but he struggled. But I do think he came into a little bit before half time, and I'd wonder, Glanmire have played so much good football and they're still only drawing. You'd be kind of leaning to Eddie Murphy, very experienced guy on the line there now. He wasn't ranting and raving during the game. We could see him. He's very cool, very calm. He was chatting to his selectors and stuff. He's got no kid playing in this game or anything like that. He can be cool and measured and say, right, what do we need to do to just readjust and get on top of it. I think Douglas are in a good position, and possibly the fact we were talking about it before, like they were 1-4 to no score down last year against Ballincollig. A lot of these same players, and they were able to come back and win the game by 4 points afterwards. So they have been through this before.
And there's another question there to ask, Eamon, which is legitimate, but it follows both your points, Colm, is can Glanmire sustain that intensity for 65, 66 minutes? You got to remember as well, because you're burning nervous energy anyway in the fact that it's a county final. It's funny, without divulging the contents of the conversation, when I dropped down to Tomas the other day for that chat, we were kind of half sparring with each other. He was looking for a bit of information from me on Douglas, and I was looking for a bit from him. But the one thing he did say to me, which again backs up more what you're saying there, is he said, like, our backs won't be found wanting. He didn't elaborate. Our backs won't be found wanting. So I think he was confident in his defenders that man for man that they were going to match up well. He put Dara Murphy specifically on Alan O'Hare. As Murph said, I'd say Alan probably only touched the ball. Did he touch the ball 5 or 6 times in the half?
Max.
So Glanmire will be, Tomas now will be frustrated at that fact that they did so well, and yet one moment Douglas really got a goal from nothing. It came from turnover ball. So you know what? I think Eamon called it actually right there. I think Douglas are certainly going to be the happier at half time, but it doesn't follow. There's no rule in sport that says we had a crap first half, we got away with it, well then we're going to get away with it now in the second half.
We've all been in dressing rooms where you think that.
Yeah.
You say, lads, we only have to go perform now, we're winning.
So Glanmire could actually come out and do the same in the second half, Colm, and not concede the goal. But what I would say is I would expect Douglas certainly have greater scope for improvement. I would think Douglas would be looking to improve that performance by 15-20%. I don't know, will Glanmire get that much more out in the second half? So certainly the scope for improving is on the Douglas side.
And I think last year Douglas did have a fantastic bench to draw on. I mean, you mentioned the fact they had 4 Cork minors and that it's under 17, not under 18. So like Alan O'Hare was actually on the bench last year, even though he had been a Cork minor. Adam Cantwell, another player who's not available tonight. And they were able to bring those 2 players in particular on, who massive influence on the game. I don't know, do they have the same depth there today? There's a few names there I recognise, but I'm not sure.
They don't, and most of the talent, like I'm just looking down, there is some decent talent there, but if you're talking about a game changer,
and that's different
like
thing,
the names you mentioned, like certainly no, maybe not. But you know what? I mean, look, I think in fairness, Eddie will be looking at his attack now and he'll be saying 5 scores in the first half, and probably lucky to get 5 scores. We'll be looking for a lot more in the second half.
Okay, just want to mention as well too, Glanmire, a number of players that are injured. We just want to maybe give a note of them. Rory O'Brien, Jake Bowen, Luke Cotter, Jack Hayes and Conor Hughes, who were all members of the squad this year and had picked up just a number of unfortunate injuries. So I'm not sure if they're here tonight or if they're watching at home anyway. But again, just a great achievement.
They've been on the journey.
They've been on the journey and perhaps can't be here tonight.
And I suppose that tightens up Glanmire's options then, no matter what you say, right, the goalkeeper, but then Oran Shepherd was a sub for the forwards generally this year, so was involved in the panel as an outfield player. He's now in goal, and their full back is missing. Not that Olin Keller isn't doing a great job, but it's a starting defender gone out of your back.
Exactly.
So it's bringing someone else from the subs in. So
I wonder how much, lads, I think one of you mentioned it earlier in the commentary. I think, Colm, you might have said it at the start. The fact that the vast majority of this Glanmire team were in this exact same pitch a fortnight ago, lost a titanic struggle. I wonder, does that give them an extra 5% or does it take 5% from them going into the second half?
I would think that it is going to give them the extra 5%. No, again, this
if they're in a good position.
If they're in a good position.
Yeah.
But again, what we saw in the hurling, if you remember here 2 weeks ago, a moment of magic from Jack Cahalan, moments after.
Transformed the second half, and the bars just
within
exploded
30
from there.
seconds, exactly, within 30 seconds of the restart. So I would think the biggest lesson that the Glanmire lads would have taken from it is the first 5 minutes of the second half are going to be so important.
Right.
Absolutely.
Referee is back in the centre of the field. All our midfielders are there alongside him as well. We'll have a little look around and see if there's any chopping and changing. There didn't seem to be too much there, no ranting or raving either in the benches down here. Tony, have you spotted a little change? I just see though that Luke Elliott has kind of come out to a half forward line. James Crowley has gone in at full forward. And it's Douglas, and it's touched on the ground there by Mark Howell, and a free being given away, and David Lynch taking it. Daniel Squires, I'm told, is in. We'll see who's made way. There's Douglas coming out here with Howell, taking a return there from O'Nash, and first time ball driven in there. It's O'Hare who's racing after it. The goal scorer followed up with a point and being fouled there by Dara Murray, and on top of him. Bit of afters there, not for the first or the second time those two have clashed this evening. O'Hare will take the free. And Killian Donlan seems to be the man that has made way for Daniel Squires. Extremely difficult angle here for the free taker. Right in off the sideline. Suits a left-footed kicker, admittedly, dropping him a bit short. Hands going up there and punching it clear. And yet again, Glanmire back in numbers, clearing their lines. Nason, doing well, getting it in as far as Alan O'Hare again. Under it is two players seem to have been lost in the light there for a second by Conor O'Donovan. But the referee deemed that there was a pull back, and the free being awarded, and it's going to be Aaron Sheehy who's going to take this one. At a point there just before half time in that period of Douglas resurgence, and he's going to try and edge his side into the lead yet again. 1-4 to 7 points the tally. Here comes the kick from the corner forward, and here comes the point from the Cork minor panellist. It's his second of the night, and it's pushing it to 1 goal and 5 points to 7 points.
Is that Douglas's first lead of the night?
Yeah, it is. Glanmire were 2-0 up at the start, so they've scored either side of the half-time break now, and with two frees, and both teams looked a bit nervous there. Actually, there was a couple of kind of swipes at the ball, so Douglas benefited from that.
Great piece of fielding by big Luke Elliott there coming out. But
got away
a
with that, I
bang
think.
kick back, putting huge pressure on his cornerback Eric Geary. And the ball gone out over the sideline. Geary won't be thanking Luke Elliott on that occasion, and the shot coming in, goalkeeper doing well underneath it. Oren Shepherd, good clearance by him to find a Glanmire jersey, and that's Dara Murray on the ball. Murray winning the free. Looking for an option. Forced to go to the wing. It's Daniel Hogan. Going back there to his cornerback. Hogan again. High arm there across him with referee waving play on. No, has called it back as a free. Michael Nason wondering what he had done wrong, but I think it was from the high hand of Mark Howell. And James Crowley's going to take it.
I'm not certain what kind of pair of hands Luke Elliott has, but he's isolated inside, and they're going to try it.
Yeah, there he is, and that's him getting a touch on the ball. Goalkeeper coming out ever so well there. Cian O'Leary, Cork minor, involved with the Cork under 20 side as well.
And you'd imagine Glanmire will need a goal, really, Tony, won't they?
You wonder, as the lads said, can Glanmire maintain the intensity which they showed in the first half? It looks as well too that Douglas have added an extra 5% in terms of their intensity. Great ball, great tussle between Dara Murray and Alan O'Hare. Again, and O'Hare being fouled by the defender.
Slightly unfortunate, I think.
Yeah.
No, I don't
More
actually
tangle,
think
I
of,
think,
more
than-
tangle of legs than anything.
I
But
suppose he's got the right side of it, maybe.
Aaron Sheehy, he knows after kicking 2 points, confidence is up. Very good striker of the ball, and again, this could be something that's in his compass. And if it was to edge Douglas, 2 points clear.
Yeah, Aaron Sheehy. It's about 40 yards. There is a bit of a trickle of wind behind him on this occasion. Here he comes. Great connection by him yet again. And that is a fine score. And it's pushed Douglas out to 1-6 to 7.
I suppose Douglas are getting that bit of reward for just backing their forwards. If they've come out with a little bit more zip, a little bit small, a bit more intensity, a bit more movement. And
ball going out there. A few words there between Owen Nash and Luke Elliott. The referee bringing the ball in. Jeremy Kingston opting to go short and bring David Lynch into it. And there on the far side is the corner forward Ollie Compton. On this occasion, it's the centre forward Hogan going back to David Lynch. Just great defending by Douglas, though, holding him up, negating his options. Ollie Compton on the 45-yard line. Compton going route in towards Luke Elliott. Elliott did well. Ball spills away, but Glanmire still have possession with Colin McCarthy. And McCarthy, such a class by McCarthy. But you can see the danger, though, that Luke Elliott is causing inside there. Didn't win clean possession, but when you've got a forward like Colin McCarthy at your foot,
yeah, it's very similar at both ends of the field. I mean, Conor O'Donovan, is a big danger at the Douglas end, and similarly Luke. I mean, he has a clear height advantage.
Yeah.
So if the ball is decent, I think he's going to cause damage. Just one note there, Colm. I mentioned Fionn Sheehan. The Douglas management didn't quite have the same patience with him as I was, and unfortunately for him, and he is a good forward. I mean, Fionn is a good forward. I've seen him many times. Just obviously wasn't his night, and he's been replaced by Kevin McSweeney.
Daniel Hogan. Oh, great ball by Hogan. He's after picking out a runner. That was Ben Nodwell. Nodwell forced to regroup and did ever so well to win the free. Looked like he was going to go short back to Hogan again. The two hurling teammates combining in a football sphere, and James Crowley coming out towards the free there.
yeah, that could have been a goal chance. He just couldn't quite secure possession enough to break the tackle. But they got a free and they were delighted with that.
Incredible pass by Hogan, the centre forward, and David Lynch actually is going to take the free, waving James Crowley away. And here's the captain, slotting it straight over. 1 goal and 6 points to 9 points, all square here in Páirc Uí Rinn in this Rebel Oak Premier 1 Minor Football Championship final. Cian O'Leary looking for some options. Great kick out again by the goalkeeper, over 60 yards. It's back there with the wing back Dara Long. Great composure by him to look back, not to panic, and bring David Lynch into the equation. And Lynch has Hogan on his bike on the 14-yard line, about a yard in from the sideline. Opts to go nice and short in towards Colin McCarthy. Nice jink by McCarthy, back as far as Hogan. He's going to try himself right across the front, looking for a man inside. That's the corner forward, and that's Ollie Compton. I was going to say looking for a big man, but he ended up with a smaller man.
This is a great response from Glanmire, because Douglas to get the first 2 scores in the second half, and for Glanmire now to rebound with 3 scores. Yeah. It's really good going now. Their tails are up at the moment, and they're going to point ahead. with 39 minutes gone.
And wasn't it good play out of Colin McCarthy? He's got 5 points to play. He could have just had a cut off that. He recycled it, and they got a score at the edge of the D instead.
But great composure. David Lynch's ball setting Daniel Hogan on his way. Hogan linking up with McCarthy, and McCarthy realising he didn't have what was needed and opted to go crossfield to Ollie Compton. It's Owen Nash that's, or not Owen Nash, it was Alan O'Hare that was racing through there.
It's a fantastic outlet to have, isn't
I
it?
know.
In the modern day football, when you can just pump something right out the middle of the field, and usually the percentages at those times are usually kind of about 10, 15, 20%, but this guy, when you have somebody like young Owen Nash, you're going to have a better chance of retaining possession.
Obviously something in the water down in Douglas. Tony, having a look at your senior midfield as well. They're not exactly small either. Dropping it short there. That was a wasted opportunity, but he might get a second bite of the cherry. Alan O'Hare, what's he going to try and magic out here? He's forced to go back and bring Aaron Shee into play. Shee with those 2 fine efforts after half time, over carries the ball, and the Glanmire defence fist pumping there. David Lynch.
And one thing
leading
is,
the
even though
charge.
the crowd is obviously very small, it's very restricted, its parents or whatnot in this 200 club, but Glanmire crowd are a bit more vocal. They're really sensing that this is there for them.
Darragh Long taking the pass there from Daniel Hogan, trying to get it in as far as Ben Nodwell, but on this occasion the Douglas defence equal to it. Dara Burke leaving it out here then. And a great interception there again by Hogan, picking out Luke Elliott in front of us here. He opts to go short to the runner behind him. That's the cornerback, Jack O'Sullivan. He's gone in as far as, would you believe, the fullback there, James Gibson. We're following numbers all over. That's James Crowley being held back, being pulled back there by David Kelly in the free. No doubt about that. But things have ratcheted up a degree or two.
That's poor defending, Colin. I mean, there's no point in, you just have to call that out. Like that's a player. No, that's a lazy tackle. That's a player not moving his feet, not actually trying to get the right side of the defender. And once James Crowley had got a step on him, like at that stage, he was going to end up fouling him.
I'm not sure here. We were talking about Fionn Sheehan a little earlier. He was on the sideline. He had a training bib on. The training bib is now off.
Going back
so
in. Yeah.
Any chance that we could be seeing a Peter Canavan return to play? We'll keep an eye on that. Anyway, let's go back to the play. Let's go back to the free. This is James Crowley, about 30 yards out. Crowley off the right, dropping short, dangerously so. Pair of hands, Douglas hands getting onto it. It looked to be the man wearing 18, Daniel Squires, but possibly fortunate because it looked to be dipping in towards the top corner. It's gone over anyway for a Glanmire point, and
I suppose it shows the pressure too, doesn't it? Alan O'Hare missed one that similarly at that end, so.
substitution as we pointed out there. Fionn Sheehan is on, and it is Michael Nason is the man to make way. And again, we mightn't have seen the last of Michael yet. Let's wait and see. It's back here with Darragh Long yet again. Lovely wing back play here. Reminds me of a certain Kerry man. Ollie Compton scored that point there just after half time with Cathal McCarthy. McCarthy, the star of the show in the first half, off the post on this occasion. Racing out after it is Ben Nodwell, but so too is the defender Dara Burke. Burke winning it and doing so well, being held up by two players, and has a free being awarded. Yeah, it looks to be a foul on the Douglas man, and it's going to be a free out on their own 14-yard line. Option, goalkeeper Cian O'Leary offering an option, but it's forced out, and it's a trip there on the wing back, and it's going to be another Douglas free about 35 yards out.
Douglas could do with someone stepping up now, Colin. They've had a ropey enough 7 or 8 minutes, and
there you go again, another great interception there.
50-50 ball there has gone the way of Glanmire, and Douglas can't be looking to Owen Nash to be winning everything for them. Like, they need now somebody over the next 5 or 6 minutes to actually step up, win a ball, bring it, either win a free, get a score, stop Glanmire's momentum, because at the moment
Ollie Compton getting the shot away, but the referee had blown the whistle for advantage. He was being pulled and dragged back there by Casey Buckley. and the ball coming back for the free, which James Crowley, I think, is going to stand over.
And Daniel Hogan had his hands on the ball there again in that passage of play. I'd say nearly every attack they've had in this half. I was saying he'd gone small but quick before half time. Dara Burke had come into it and got a couple of possessions, but Daniel Hogan,
a real orchestrator, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on everything. He hasn't scored, but I mean, he's absolutely playing superbly.
Yeah. Well, an incredible hurling talent, as we know. Cork under 20 made his senior debut for SARS this year. Scored a goal against Erin's Own in the Premier Senior Hurling Championship. Was the starman last week here in the final, though, in their defeat. But showing his football class this evening, and wouldn't it be a little ironic if from the minor ranks it's a football medal instead of a hurling medal he finishes the season with. Anyway, while all of that was going on, James Crowley putting the ball over the bar, and it's Cian O'Leary back with the kick out, and it's 1 goal and 9 points to Douglas, 12 points to Glanmire as we're heading closer and closer towards the water break. Great piece of fielding there by Mark Howell on this occasion. Going in there towards O'Hare, goes past him. But what a turn of pace young O'Hare has, how he managed to get himself back in contention for that one there. Conor O'Donovan looks to be down there as well.
That's just what I was talking about now there. He's won a free out of nothing there.
Yeah.
The ball, even though Mark Howell fielded brilliantly, Cullum inside sick. They rushed that pass in.
They've rushed it in, and Glanmire coming out with Dara Murray winning the free, and one of those kind of frees is hugely psychological, helpful as well too, isn't it?
Yeah,
Crowley
especially look like Douglas might have picked that possession up there around the goal.
James Crowley looked to have lost it, but didn't give up the fight, went in for a second bite at the cherry. Douglas back in numbers, but it's back with Jeremy Kingston, or with David Lynch on that far side. It's James Crowley. Oh, a bit of a push there in the back, but the referee waving play on, and Luke Elliott has one possession on that far side. Shrewdly done there, bringing Ben Nodwell into it. Spills off Nodwell, kicks it up along the sideline. Jeremy Kingston racing after it, holding up the Douglas man. Still Kingston has got Crowley inside him. Takes a heavy shoulder there from the wing back from Kieran Kenny, but it's Douglas who've managed to win back possession. They're like bumper cars out there. And is that going to be a water break? And a much needed water break. Well, we started off in the second half, and Douglas putting the foot to the floor, and it looked like the class and experience was going to play there, but huge credit to the way Glanmire answered the questions.
It's incredible. I mean, Douglas had that dream start. It was only 2 or 3, 4 minutes of the second half, but I mean, they'd worked a couple of frees, popped them over, and the serious question being asked to Glanmire at that stage, and they've got 5 points on the bounce. Not even that, they've just defended very well. Now they were lucky, probably one of Alan Ayre's frees could have gone over the bar. He just didn't catch it quite right, but at the same time they've defended tenaciously, and they're just working, and there's such energy to their play, and Douglas are really trying to drag themselves through this, but definitely all the momentum and the buzz is with Glanmire. They're playing so well, so many players across the field in so many different positions. They're playing so well. Even James Gibson there has been on an awful lot of ball. You mentioned Darragh Long a few times, stylish wing back. Both of those lads have carried an awful lot of ball over defence at pace with purpose. They're playing superbly.
Yeah, you mentioned a very important word there, Eamon, which is momentum, and it's the momentum now. I mean, it would be too glib, Cullum, to just say that the momentum has swung to Glanmire. Glanmire have actually gone and taken the momentum, because Douglas were the ones who actually went ahead at the start of the second half. Now, all the little 50-50s are going Glanmire's way. That's not a coincidence. What would trouble Eddie Murphy and Douglas now is that you can see now for the first time that the Douglas players, and you've got to remember, we're talking about 17, 18-year-olds, that the Douglas players are beginning to worry. They're beginning to rush things a small bit. They're beginning to force passes. Like that time I told you there about that one in the middle of the field there that they tried to get into Allen. That pass wasn't on. Allen did very well to win a free out of it. So just small things like that. Glanmire's tail is up. It's going to take something very, very, very important, special from Douglas now to wrest the initiative back with, what have we got, 48 or 9 minutes gone?
But yeah, 15 minutes or so, because we've had the few little tiny stoppages there. So I'd say about 15 minutes or so remaining. Big cheer from the Douglas contingent as they left their group huddle. Two from the Glanmire contingent, and well they might, because they leave here in this Premier 1 Minor Football Championship final on a cool, crisp September night, final night of September here in Páirc Uí Rinn. And hopefully you're enjoying our coverage here on the Irish Examiner live stream this evening. 15 minutes or so remaining. And please do get in touch on social media with your thoughts on the action here. It's a great opportunity to be showing minor football and minor hurling at this stage of the competition. And I hope you're enjoying the talent on show, especially this man, Owen Nash. Big operator he is too. Great play there by another big operator. That's been Olin Keller, who's been superb tonight. Jack O'Sullivan helping him out. He's cornerback. His dad Declan, of course, a selector on this Glanmire side, along with Tomas and co. Ben Nodwell. Jeremy Kingston. Out there with the other midfielder, David Lynch. Wants to go right across here, bringing Kingston back into it, and eventually working its way out there towards James Crowley. He's got Nodwell offering his services. Opts to go all the way back. Of course, they have that lead. They'll happily eat down a few seconds of the clock. Wonderful ball to pick out Daniel Hogan. This guy is a huge athlete. So too is Luke Elliott. Going long first time ball inside, but that'll be a ball where Luke Elliott would love to be collecting it. And Douglas getting away there with David Kelly. Right here in front of us, races on with Shane Ahern brought to ground. And it's Cathal McCarthy who wins it back. David Lynch now on the ball. Going this way and that way. And every one of these is swallowing up a few seconds as Douglas are trying to get back into it. Luke Elliott goes to ground, regains his footing, held up by two players and awarded a free in. Not sure what that was for, but no complaints from Luke or no complaints from Glanmire and no complaints from James Crowley, who's holding on to the ball just on the sideline about 30 yards out. As we pointed out, numbers here at the 200, but it sounds like a lot more from the Glanmire supporters. Crowley shot, trailing out, trailing wide.
That's their first wide of the second half, you know. I mean, both teams have been good in terms of generally not snatching at chances or forcing things. I suppose that was a difficult free, but it was worth going for.
Cian O'Leary now with the kick out. It's the substitute coming on there for Glanmire. It's the man wearing number 20, Nisha Marin, scored a goal in their semi-final victory over Iban Gales, wasn't it? 4-7 to 1-9 that night. 4 different goal scorers that night for Glanmire, so he's on. So that's a signal of intent from Tomas O'Shea and his management team. Foul being committed there on Big Owen Nash, who's going first time in, spills off the man inside, young Sheehy. He's forced to work ever so hard to try and regain possession, did well, bringing Dara Burke, the centre back, into it. He's going across the field there towards Mark Howell, in turn bringing in the centre forward O'Hare, and the shot from him, the goal score, and that one has gone over the bar, and that's a huge boost to Douglas. They badly needed that score.
By my reckoning, I'd say, I mean, you're probably keeping it. That's Douglas's first score, I would imagine, in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so I mean, really badly needed.
And bar one free, they haven't even had a shot in that period, you know.
Oh, wonderful piece of play there by Luke Elliott to come out. Obviously it's applied now by Glanmire to try and break up O'Nash's dominance at midfield. But the problem is, by bringing him out, you don't have a big target man inside.
Yeah, that was a strange option to go for there, you know. Just run the ball, I think there's no choice.
Yeah, just
spread
looking
it wide to the wings.
Elliott now is matching Owen Nash there. It's coming out there with Dara Burke. Good play there, out to the wing. Forced to go back, and it's Aaron Sheehy, the corner forward. First time ball in by him. Hops, and it's into a Douglas pair of hands, and it's the corner forward. And he's driven it wide. Conor O'Donovan had the big height advantage, did so well to get on the ball. Did he realise that he had a bit more time in his hands?
Yeah, bad miss. I mean, he actually turned on to his strong side and everything. You know, that's a tap over score. But you know what? There's 10 minutes left in the county final. There's no such thing as a tap over score, especially when you're 2 points down. Aaron Sheehy has actually done quite well for
has been
Douglas
well,
in possession. You know, he hasn't actually been doing much damage, even though he has 2 points, but most of his work has been out in the middle third.
He's sacrificed his inside play to help those around him. Right there with Kevin McSweeney at substitute. Scored a point in the semi-final. Ball gone back in there towards Conor O'Donovan. O'Donovan off the left again. Goal. Is he going to manage it? No. Yeah. It looked to be wide, I must say, from our vantage point here.
That score, Cullum, that score has been given, but that was wide. It was wide.
Post,
yeah.
Our replay here shows that the ball had gone.
We had the perfect vantage point,
wide.
Looking right down the line at that one, and that definitely never came inside the post. That was a wide ball, and I certainly hope that doesn't prove decisive at the end of the day, but it's been given.
The Glanmire contingent alongside us here. Hopefully you don't have children listening in the background. Let's see now what the response is going to be like from Glanmire. Daniel Hogan swallowed up there. It's David Kelly who has possession. Batting off there, Nisha Marin. Half time, by the way, in Páirc Uí Chaoimh in the Bonstacor Cork Premier Senior Football Championship semi-final. The latest there, it's the Bars who lead Newcestown 7 points to 1 goal and 3. We'll keep you updated on that. It's back there with David Kelly holding off about 3 men. Eventually getting it out to his wing forward. It's gone to ground again. Yet again, Douglas under immense pressure, squirreling it out there. Casey Buckley going out as far as Daniel Squires. First time ball by him to bring in the substitute. Shot though that's coming in, and it's hanging. Goalkeeper being forced out. Great pair of hands there by Oren Shepherd under the lights. Did very well. Forced the kick out over the sideline, with the referee awarding a free out. But that was a wonderful piece of goalkeeping by a man who started the season as a forward and is now in goals in a county final. David Lynch, the captain of Glanmire. Will he be lifting the trophy in 10 minutes' time? That's Dara Murray, the wing back. What a battle he and this man Alan O'Hare have had all night. Murray on this occasion getting the upper hand. It's still Murray racing down the field. Breathtaking stuff by the wing back. Back out there with the wing forward, James Crowley, and Crowley the shot. Goalkeeper tracked it all the way though. Keane O'Leary did ever so well, as you'd expect of a man of his experience. And out come Douglas again. This is incredible stuff, end-to-end stuff here in this Rebel Oak Premier Minor 1 Football Championship final. Aaron Shee's on the ball, spills away from him, manages to regain it at the second time. Looked to have stepped out over the sideline. The ball though was still in play. He's gone route one inside there towards Conor O'Donovan. O'Donovan underneath it, getting a hand in it. Still O'Donovan chasing after it, but the defender forced out. And that was Eric Erie, who's conceded the 45. But lads, one of you need to hop in here because I'm about to pass out.
I was joking with our reporter Therese O'Callaghan before the game that Therese is involved in an uncanny amount of games that go to extra time and replays, and she is covering the game for the Examiner tonight. What odds on this game not finishing after 60 minutes?
Yeah, really.
And considering my last game was UCC and Blackrock in the Premier Senior Hurling Championship, what an epic we had there. Here comes the 45 and the chance of an equaliser.
Just doesn't tie it up. Okay, wide ball.
And he's driven it wide. Alan O'Hare has surprisingly driven that one wide. 1 goal and 8 points to 12 points. It's Glanmire who lead. Up they go for it again. It's Douglas man that's on it, but he's lost possession, and it's Daniel Hogan on that far side.
So they just need to score from somewhere.
Hogan going route one inside, but he doesn't have the big man of Luke Elliott inside there. And yet again Douglas coming out here on this far side here with David Kelly. In fact, it's Shane Ahern. Still Shane Ahern. Is he going to keep going himself, or is he going to go inside? Goes inside to O'Donovan. The shot on and blast over the bar. O'Donovan turned, swiveled. Could have been, should have been, would have been a goal, but it flew over the crossbar. But the crucial thing is, it's an equaliser.
He went for power, I suppose, and it rose over there. But look, I mean, you're talking about guys who've had a quiet game. I know that second point he got was from our angle was wide, but he's 3 points in play in a tight county final.
Yeah, good point.
Can't argue with that.
1 goal and 9 points to 12 points. They're all square here in this Rebel Oak Premier 1 minor football final. What an epic these two have given us. Glanmire, the Premier 2 champions last year. Douglas, the Premier 1 champions of last year. It's Nisha Marin over there as the substitute, right out in the sideline, being hurled it out there by James Gibson, but being fouled, and Daniel Hogan now has the ball. What a little provider this man is. Always picks out a wonderful pass, and he's done it yet again into his corner forward to Colin McCarthy. A lovely dink of a ball by McCarthy. Chance coming on here. Ball is gone out somehow it's gone out, and the wing back Dara Long.
Ball of the night, by the way, by Cathal McCarthy.
So good.
Came inside, disguised the shot. I actually thought he was just going to pop it over the bar. Saw the wing back going through inside, put it on a plate. No finish though. How decisive will that be?
That's why he's a wing back.
Yeah, it's probably the time of game too. He's given so much, and you're getting that ball, and you're trying to carry it in. It's
great piece of fielding there as Douglas have regained possession from the kick out. It's out with Kieran Kenny going short inside to Owen Nash. Nash is a runner alongside him. That's Daniel Squires. That's the 65-yard line he's gone past. It's into O'Hare. Great little turn by O'Hare onto the left. It's ballooned right up into the air. But Conor O'Donovan is underneath it. No, it's Fionn Sheehan. Somehow Glanmire escape. Niall Lynch. They come again. Who wants to get on the hands? Who's going to be the hero here? It's going to be a defender on this occasion. Spilled out, and Glanmire very coolly and calmly flicked up.
Dara Long there, in fairness to him, just missed the goal chance.
There's 60 minutes on the clock. No, that's two big chances, one at either end there.
Yeah.
I must admit, when Alan O'Hare turned inside there,
I thought it was
a certainty that they go, but he rushed it a small bit. Probably tried to get the shot off before he was blocked. Might have been better to hold it for a second.
We're going a minute into injury
Sitting
time
in the
here,
box,
and it's
aren't we? Yeah.
Luke Elliott. It will be an absolute heartbreak for any of these teams now to lose in this stage of the game. Well, let's play to the referee's whistle. It's back with Douglas here, about 45 yards out. Ball being pumped in there towards Fionn Sheehan, the man who started, went off, came back on again. And it's a free out on this occasion.
It could have been a free in, but in keeping with the way Brian's ref the game, he wasn't going to give anything marginal. I don't think at this stage of the match, when effectively the game's on the line.
Daniel Hogan, yet again, the centre back. He's back there now, quarterbacking the game. David Lynch, the captain. Ball being driven in there. Great piece of fielding there by the Douglas man. And out they come yet again. It's with Mark Nowell. First time ball being pumped in yet again there towards, and it's bounced over in towards Fionn Sheehan. But great play again by Owen Keller to get out ahead of the man. Takes a heavy shoulder. Referee waves play on. Glanmire coming down here with their wing back Dara Murray. It's Daniel Hogan again. We're into the second, heading into the third minute now of added time here. Daniel Hogan, nobody wants to be the man that's going to lose possession. Hogan putting it right in on a play towards Cathal McCarthy.
Too wide for him, but
this is the man who starred in the opening few moments that gave Glanmire the platform that they built on. He's going to get the shot off. The shot is going to trail wide, but is it going to come back for a free?
Yeah, he's
the head defending there, I'm afraid.
Looks to be a free, and looks to be a chance for James Crowley to be the hero of the night.
It's very kickable, but obviously the pressure that's on here is colossal, you know.
Daniel Hogan comes over, gives him a little tap, a high five, saying, I'm backing you on this one. We're heading at 63 minutes now. The sides are level. Here comes James Crowley's kick.
All day, from the minute it left his boot, over the bar. 63 minutes and 16 seconds. I'm just wondering, will Brian Canary give Douglas another opportunity here, or is he going to blow?
Here comes the big kick from Cian O'Leary. Referee hasn't blown. There's big men up underneath it, and it's Daniel Hogan who has possession, and the referee has blown it. The referee has blown it. Glanmire are the champions. Glanmire are the champions. Rebel Oak, Premier 1 minor football champions of 2020. 12 months ago, they won the Premier 2 title. 12 months later, they're the Premier 1 champions, defeating Douglas, the champions of 2019. Emotional scenes here in Cork Wren, and rightly so.
Well, the better side has won. That's
Absolutely,
the first thing to say. You could not quibble with the fact. I really was genuinely concerned that Douglas point, in inverted commas, was going to be decisive. I mean, I think Glanmire would have had a very legitimate complaint. When it came down to it, right in the last couple of minutes, a magnificent finish, in fairness, by James Crowley. As you said, Mort, it was kickable, but in the last minute of a county final, those posts are a lot narrower. But
absolutely.
the minute it left his boot, Cullum, it was over the bar.
We can actually look back on it here on the replay. As you said, James Crowley, well within his compass, well within his range, but the last effort, the last chance to win a county final, it took some nerves by any player. But as you point out, we sometimes forget in these games, these lads are all 17 or 18 years of age.
And you know what? It just shows once again what we know, because you'd have expected, if any side was going to be nervous and lose their shape and their poise in the last 5 or 6 minutes, it would have been Glanmire.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, it was probably Douglas. 5 or 6 minutes, had a couple of attacking situations. Ball again didn't stick. I mean, all night Douglas had that problem. Or you can, flip it and say Glanmire did brilliantly. That the ball wasn't sticking at all inside. All through the championship, Cullum, that ball has been sticking inside, and Douglas have been making hay. I know they had a chance there. Conor O'Donovan maybe should have goaled, but really apart from that, the Glanmire defence had the measure. And when it came down to the last 4 or 5 minutes, I just thought Glanmire were better in possession, chose better options, got the ball to the right people in Cathal McCarthy. As I said, won a free in the end there, and beautifully finished. One
man, Eamon, in particular, that, as Tony said, taking the right decisions, made the right decisions coming down the stretch. That was the centre forward. That was young Daniel Hogan.
He was outstanding. I mean, I'd seen him twice already this season, and he was good. Don't get me wrong, but it's the classic thing of he was a good athlete, he's a good hurler, he's a solid footballer. But he was actually he ran the game for long spells. And you described him as an orchestrator of the attack, and I think that was an apt description. I suppose for Cathal McCarthy, I mean, look, he got fouled for 2 converted frees. He kicked 5 from play. I mean, that's sensational. Going 1-6 from play in last year's P2 final. That's just amazing stuff. But I thought the real standout in that last 5 minutes, and he stood out all through the game, was Olin Kelleher. He came out with another. Douglas were putting long raking balls. I know you have a bit of luck. The ball maybe breaks, you get the flick in it, but he was just so aggressive. He attacked every long delivery, and I mean, he won 2 or 3 of them there. Superb.
Tactically as well, too, Tony. The deployment or redeployment of Luke Elliott out around the midfield in that kind of last 15 minutes was very, very important.
Well, because Owen Nash, I actually thought if Douglas were going to win it in the end, I would have said that it was probably Owen Nash and Mark Howell dug them out of the hole. But as you said, what actually happened in the end was they brought Elliott out. You actually
no, it was a touch of robbing Peter to pay Paul, because they didn't have their target man inside, but he still broke the momentum though, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think though, when you do have someone, as you said, when you do have someone on the 40 like Daniel Hogan, when you do have an option inside in space like Cathal McCarthy, I just thought Glanmire showed the greater poise down the stretch, and I must admit I'm a small bit surprised at that, given that Douglas have been here before. But as Murph said, Glanmire county champions last year as well, Yeah. So I think you got the right winners. I think I tell you what it is. It's a fantastic success for Glanmire GAA club.
Staggering success for
because they're, anyone who will be anyone, they mightn't admit it out there, but they'll tell you very much that they would be considered the poor relation to SARS in that area.
The simple thing you have to look at, lads, is that they had to beat Mayfield to avoid going down to relegation with their adult team. I know these are the underage teams, and it is separate. Whereas SARS were disappointed not to be in the county semi-final or final at the top level. Lads were trying to avoid playing junior, but they've put savage work in the last few years. And I know myself from seeing their under 13 and 14 teams, seeing those type of ages, they have a lot of good footballers. They have a lot of good guys in charge who are really passionate about football, who are football first guys, which they needed, because I think there was, from my reading of it, for too long in SARS Glanmire, it was that if you were 14, 15, you just played hurling and you didn't keep playing football at top level. Whereas this particular panel, the majority of them are on the SARS panel, and it's paid off. They have a county champions now at P1. It's a savage achievement.
And I think you're probably picking up in the background here the noise and the cheers. There's only 100 supporters here tonight, but it sounds like 1,000. And just on the basis of that alone, what this means for them.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I think it's, I really do. I think it's a major step forward for Glanmire. And you've got to remember, I mean, Murph says, like, you know, in terms of retaining the status that they have as an intermediate team, isn't it? Like, these guys are not too far away from breaking into the senior setup. So you could be talking about, maybe if not next year, certainly the year after, you look around that team, and you'd pick everyone there, like from Olin. You mentioned Dara Murray did a great job, and Alan O'Hare overall. You've David Lynch, the captain. You've Ben Nodwell, Daniel. I mean, the entire half forward line actually did well, and the inside line got on the score sheet as well. So I mean, I'm looking. 5, 6, 7 points came from the full forward line. That's good going. 7 points out of 13. So it's a great night for Glanmire GA club, and there haven't been too many of them.
There you see it there on your monitor. It's David Lynch, the captain, being surrounded by the squad. What a wonderful night for all involved with him. And great credit to the management team, Tomás O'Shea as manager, and the selectors, Shane Martin, Jerry Sparrow, Jason Lynch, Declan O'Sullivan, Adam Peerbucks, and Dennis Kelleher, and Liam O'Reilly being the team medic in there as well. A lot of questions. Soul searching for Douglas.
Yeah, just before we go on to Douglas, I mean, let's say what it is. Like, it's a real feather in the cap for Tomás O'Shea. You know, I mean, in his first gig, and as the Glanmire players come over towards us here, in his first gig as a manager of a team, he's led them to a Premier minor title in Cork, which I tell you is no mean feat. That's a serious achievement in itself.
Has it ever been done? A Premier 2 champion has come up and become.
It would happen from time to time, but I mean, like, you still, you know, when you're going up, like you mentioned, Douglas are, you know, always there or thereabouts to win Premier 1 counties. Ballincollig have only won one in this modern era, but are always there or thereabouts. And I mean, they took out Ballincollig and Douglas to win it. Now, maybe got a bit of luck the way it turned out. Douglas steamrolling Ballincollig in that last game opened the door back up for Glanmire to stay in the championship, as it turned out.
It did.
Know? But I would not underestimate how hard it was for them to play Douglas on the first night, who were the champions, beat them, and then have to beat them a second time.
Big time.
Beat the favourites twice. It's really hard to do. Cork know all about it when they play Kerry. You know, beating the top team twice is so difficult.
Absolutely.
I'm just looking down there. David Lynch has to take a break from the celebrations because cramp is after setting in. But look at these. Look at what this means. It is absolutely incredible. Like, we saw great scenes here with St. Finbarr's winning the hurling 2 weeks ago, and that was ending a 23-year wait, I think, for the title. But I think this is even surpassing that in terms of the emotion, Eamon.
I'm just wondering, you asked me, Cullum, you know, soul searching in Douglas, and obviously, you know, you don't want to kind of over exaggerate like what this is, but at the same time, I think what Douglas would have been looking for at the end of that game was that we might have actually just got away with one. You know, that Eddie Murphy might have said, if they'd got that goal in the end, you know, okay, we won, and we won playing nowhere near, you know, good enough. No, whether that's Douglas not performing on the night, you can say it is. I would prefer to actually look at it the other way. And as Murph said, this is the second time in this championship that Glanmire have beaten Douglas. So I think it was more the fact that Glanmire knocked Douglas out of their stride from the get-go tonight. Never took the foot off the throat insofar as it was possible. Douglas had little pockets, you know, but you got to remember, they needed a goal just before half-time to get them level. Murphy, did you say 5 points on the bounce from Glanmire in the second half after Douglas had scored the first two?
That was the winning of the game.
You can be asking all the questions you want about Douglas, Cullum. The bottom line tonight is that Glanmire are deserving Premier 1 minor football champions here in Cork.
Okay, fittingly said. That is where we're going to have to leave it tonight. My thanks to Tony and to Eamon for their company here this evening. Just want to mention, though, a few games coming up on the Irish Examiner live stream in the course of the weekend. We have a hectic weekend, 4 matches to be shown. We're starting off on Saturday evening. It's with the Co-op Superstores Premier Intermediate Championship final. That's pitting Blarney against Castleines. And then on Sunday, not 1, not 2, but 3 games, starting off with the Senior A Hurling Championship final. That's Fuller Neils and Charleville. That's on at 12:30. And then it's football 2 games back to back. The Bon Secours Cork Premier Senior Football Championships semi-finals. Nemo Rangers and Duhallow. That's a repeat of last year's final. That'll be the 2 o'clock game. And then the evening game, it's Castlehaven v the Bars or Noosastown. That semi-final is ongoing. We had the Bars was up by a point, I think, there at half time. That's on in Páirc Uí Chaoimh as we speak. Well, that is where we're going to have to leave it this evening. Looking down here on the pitch, the Glanmire lads posing with the trophy. Captain David Lynch is holding on tight. And down there on our left-hand side, I can see the Douglas team, and I can see Tomás O'Shea, the Glanmire manager, giving them a few words of encouragement to say, look, we've all had nights like this in sport, but the biggest thing is how you come back, how you recover, and how you win again. And he's receiving a round of applause there. Tomás O'Shea, the winning manager, taking the fist bumps and the salutes as Glanmire celebrate the Rebel Oak Premier Minor 1 Football Championship title. A historic night for them, historic night for all their players, and a wonderful night of football as the Douglas squad are being applauded off the field here by their supporters as well. That is where we're going to have to leave it this evening. Thank you so much for your company. Thanks to Raf and Jack for all the hard work as well. And we look forward to your company again on a hectic weekend of our